Amazon is nearly doubling its layoffs. Folks, we remember last year there was an announcement that Amazon was laying off 10,000 employees. And actually that number was closer to 20,000 that they had estimated. On top of the 70, 80, or 90,000 employees that they had already saw eliminated through attrition, layoff, retirement, being fired, a variety of reasons that they just were not refilling these positions. Now, folks, Amazon is announcing nearly doubling its layoffs, and what that means and what we need to be prepared for and preparing for. Meanwhile, no more free coffee and layoff warnings. Goldman Sachs workers experience a rude awakening. Now, comment down below if you actually work for Amazon and or if you work for Goldman Sachs. I'd be really interested to see how much of our audience is included in this bunch, or potentially included in this bunch. But it says here, say hello to a lot of tired Goldman Sachs employees, because instead of immediately letting go of Joe from sales, the investment bank is getting rid of a free cup of coffee. They are cutting costs and they are reducing their overhead operating expenses, folks. A disgruntled employee recounted to the New York Post that when they went for their drip coffee in the office sky lobby, I guess that's a pretty cool perk to have. You have a sky lobby at work. They were instead greeted with a different type of wake-up call, a sign, and a woman yelling at us that it was no longer complimentary. They said they had to fork over $2.99 for a shitty cup of coffee. Shitty cup of Seattle's best at that. Nothing says Happy New Year like you're already on the verge of losing your job, but let's just make sure you lose your free coffee too. They added, referring to Chief Executive Officer David Solomon's warning that the bank could begin layoffs in the first half of January. Now, you guys may recall that I had provided you guys with an update on information about Goldman Sachs actually slashing Christmas bonuses, okay? And these huge banks are now revising their performance requirements and ultimately their bonus payout structures, and they're broadening the spectrum, and they're no longer basing it off of individual performance or exceptional performance for the employee, but as a company overall. Therefore, they could usually almost always come up with a reason why bonuses will not be paid, and or they will be extremely low in comparison to previous instances. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're using this added revenue driven from this now cup of coffee that the employees have to pay for if they want, to help bolster some of their losses, while also potentially putting the employees at risk because they are ultimately not getting the caffeine fix that they need, and potentially finding ways to fire them for a reduced amount of performance. Meanwhile, the Motley Fool says that Amazon announced a second round of job cuts, up in the total from 10,000 to 18,000. This round will target human resources and its e-commerce operations. I feel like Amazon and e-commerce is kind of like a no-brainer, so it almost targets everybody. The move comes after the stock fell 50% last year, with its growth slowing significantly. So this could be like a little heads up that you can get Amazon for a deal on a discount. Anybody out there, any investors? But Amazon, stock ticker symbol AMZN, is tightening its belt once again. This is according to Motley Fool. In the initial announcement back in November, the company said more layoffs would come, but the additional 8,000 seemed to surprise investors, who initially welcomed the news, as the stock rose nearly 2% in after-hours trading on Wednesday, and on Thursday the stock fell in line with a broad market sell-off. After shares fell 50% last year, it's clear that investors and the company are looking for a catalyst to drive a recovery in the business and the stock, and right-sizing its workforce is one component of that. So, folks, pay attention. If you work for Amazon, if anybody you know works for Amazon, you may want to clue them in as to what is going on and why. Ultimately, this comes down to the value of the company's stock, the share prices, and how they're viewed by shareholders. And they're looking at reducing the employee headcount as a way of improving that. Okay, now this is real talk. This is not designed to scare you and make you run out and go buy, stock up and buy chicken and eggs and can everything. This is real talk, folks. This is real world, boots on the ground intel about what's happening to people's paychecks, okay? What allows them the ability to go to these stores and buy these items and or online and order them from places like Amazon and e-commerce. This is a big deal because we want to prepare ourselves to avoid these wipeouts, to avoid these catastrophic economic shutdowns within our own homes, within our own personal family balance sheets, much to the warning of Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell letting us know last year that pain would be felt and a tightening of balance sheets at work, in businesses, and at home would be experienced as this pain was felt and the economy was essentially softened. Basically, it's his words, not mine. So, folks, please beware. Wall Street Journal says Amazon layoffs to hit over 18,000 workers. The most in recent tech wave. Cuts focused on the company's corporate staff exceed earlier projection and represent about 5% of the company's corporate workforce. So if you're part of the corporate workforce for Amazon or any other company, now would be a great time to make sure your resume is up to date. Make sure you're connecting with perhaps maybe recruiters and headhunters and other industries and other businesses, building your network and having that in somewhere else just in case, okay? If that axe comes down, you want to have a backup plan. Layoffs will affect more than 18,000 employees, the highest reduction tally revealed in the past year at a major technology company as the industry pares back amid economic uncertainty. The layoffs are concentrated in the company's corporate ranks and represents roughly 5% of that element of its workforce and 1.2% of its overall tally of 1.5 million employees as of September. And yes, I understand there will be some trolls watching this video in the comments and they'll say, screw Amazon, we hate them. And you know, them laying off 10,000, 18,000, 20,000, however many thousands of employees are laying off, it's nothing in the grand scheme of things of a company that has over 1.5 million. I get it. In comparison, in perspective, percentage-based wise, yes, it is a small amount of employees losing their jobs. However, it will be a big deal if one of those employees are you, okay? So let's be a little bit more compassionate for those who are potentially going to see an end to their income for the foreseeable future without any real reasonable, logical backup plan in place besides perhaps maybe collecting unemployment, okay? Which we know is not enough. Layoffs are sweeping corporate America to kick off 2023. Fresh job cuts are in the works already this year at Amazon, Salesforce, Goldman Sachs, and Vimeo. As recession fears swirl, a fresh round of layoffs is in the works for at least 4 corporate giants to start the new year. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy said late Wednesday the company would cut just over 18,000 roles, a higher reduction than initially planned. Jassy's message came the same day Salesforce, the CRM platform, said it would slash 10% of its workforce, while Vimeo cut headcounts by 11% in its second wave of reductions. Goldman Sachs is reportedly hashing out plans to part ways with up to 4,000 bankers any day now, and this is according to a year-end audio message from CEO David Solomon to staff last week. This year's layoff announcements come as U.S. companies grapple with inflation, higher interest rates, and a deteriorating economy or economic environment that has promoted both needed and precautionary cost cutting, especially after many overhired during the post-pandemic boom in 2021. Folks, I told you this was coming. I told you this was coming. Right after Christmas, they were going to be looking at the numbers that they had already planned on doing, and they're now putting into action. They are implementing the strategy, the plans that they had already prepared to cut the workforce after what we have all experienced last year. And these companies taking on too much too fast and looking at ways of adjusting their budgets. Folks, I've told you there are five simple ways to secure your financial freedom. And number 1 is earning more. Number 2 is spending less. Guess what these companies are not doing? They're not earning more. So what are they going to do? They're going to spend less for sure. And number 3 is budgeting. And this is a part of budgeting. And knowing where every dollar is coming in and where every dollar is going out, they're looking at their budgets and they're saying we need to cut overhead, starting with these employees. All right. Beyond that, reduce high interest credit card and revolving debt, and then save and invest. But right now, they're on stage 2 and they're on stage 3. Now, the e-commerce giant said in November that about 10,000 jobs will be axed. Now, this was back in November. Jassy's remarks echoed for ones from Salesforce CEO Mark Benoit, who said in an email to staff on Wednesday The decision resulted from an environment that remains challenging and more measured spending by customers. This is the cause and effect of the economy, and customers are essentially spending less money and perhaps maybe making smarter, wiser budgeting, shopping, consumer decisions. And these companies are starting to feel that, especially the ones that are carrying these expensive, heavy, burden heavy overhead operating costs, which is why I tell you guys, me personally, I prefer businesses that are extremely low in overhead. That way I have extreme scalability, and literally my revenues can almost equal my profits. That's the goal, you know. Granted, there's going to be a mix of diversity in there, but I don't want to be inventory heavy. I don't want to be employee heavy. I don't want to be, you know, debt heavy and cash heavy and operating these businesses, especially not right now, folks. If that changes, I'll let you know. But right now, no way. Amazon employed 1,544,000 people as of September 30th, up from 1,468,000 during the same period in 2021. The company's latest quarterly filing indicated, and at Salesforce, headcounts totaled almost 80,000 as of the Halloween per its own third quarter report, and it was up from 69,530 the same time the prior year. So folks, Salesforce is letting people go, and Salesforce is all about connecting people to do business. So I don't know, I think this is like kind of ironic that Salesforce is cutting staff, but either way, folks, pay attention. This is what's going on, okay? Hopefully this information is helpful to you and allowing you to prepare for the future. Avoid any, you know, stepping in anything that could potentially hurt you and harm you financially and set you back, especially now. Right now, folks need to be worrying about increasing their income, saving their jobs, increasing and multiplying the ways that they're producing income outside of their normal job, for sure, number one. And then, folks, please make sure that you're working on a savings, an emergency savings, an emergency safety net, as well as an emergency cash reserve, because this is going to be very, very detrimental, especially if you were to face any sort of gaps or extended periods of unemployment as a result of these mass layoffs that are occurring. You're going to want to have a plan. You're going to want to have a fallback. You're going to want to have a safety net and a cushion so that you're not literally on the edge, living paycheck to paycheck, worrying about what could possibly happen day to day, each day to the next, while waiting to find your next job, your next opportunity. But with that, also finding ways to have additional income streams coming in outside of your normal 9 to 5, so that even if you lost your job through a layoff, perhaps maybe you receive a severance package or anything like that. Maybe you receive unemployment, but on top of that, you'll still have some income coming in. And primarily, most importantly, making sure that any income you have coming in, especially any over and above discretionary, is not being wasted, is being followed carefully, budgeting wisely, and not throwing it away with high interest credit card debts, revolving store credit debt, high interest automotive loans, anything like that that's eating up your money and interest on top of inflation needs to be wiped out, needs to be eliminated altogether. And if you want to know how to do that, how to budget, how to save money, how to improve your credit, all of these things, how to get out of credit card debt for beginners, folks, please feel free to hit me up. I'd love to share that information with anybody who's interested in knowing more about it. I have further updates coming for you guys. I got plenty here that I want to share with you. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know if there's anything of importance that you want me to cover first and foremost. And as always, you guys take care, be safe. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.